Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Precision targeted bombardments are underway at this hour on Iran as President Trump orders the military to open the gates of hell. Major escalation following the deaths of 2 U.S. service members in Jordan from Iranian strikes, missiles, and drones overnight. A third U.S. service member is missing. And we have a whole new chapter opening tonight, it appears, in the Middle East. And with this full-scale war, make no mistake, between the United States and Iran and Israel. Stay with me. We have a lot to unpack tonight, including an update on the wildfires, the smoke, and the politics that is even thicker.
Maverick News. Expose lies and tell truth. The world is watching.
This is what happened overnight. We had Iran striking many targets in the Middle East and neighboring countries. We had missile and drone attack on a military base in Jordan. This is what it looked like. So as a result of that, 2 U.S. service members killed, 3rd missing, 4 more were severely wounded, taken to hospital. They have since been discharged. This is, as I say, a major escalation tonight with President Trump saying it's time to open the gates of hell. As a result, within the past hour and at this hour, well, at 6 p.m., airstrikes began. U.S. Central Command confirming that and posting this today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1 hour, 9 minutes ago. U.S. forces began launching new U.S. airstrikes against Iran at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. Strikes are designed to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and swiftly punish Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces who launched attacks against American service members in Jordan last night. So it is a direct response to that. And the casualties on the U.S. side continue to climb. Now, this is really the first major incident involving U.S. casualties since the earliest days of the conflict, but the numbers are surprisingly high. You may not be aware that in total, the U.S. has now confirmed 427 wounded troops in total since the beginning of this war. As a result, we also have 16 troops in total who have been killed since the conflict began. Now, in the past week, we've seen the United States attacking water and power plants. The new supreme leader of Iran posting or making a declaration that Trump's signature isn't worth anything. And Iran also saying that they are no longer abiding by the provisions in the memorandum of understanding. Not that that really matters at this point, I don't think, because the ceasefire that was never a ceasefire has been declared null and void by President Trump anyway, and that was 10 days ago. It makes me think back to the days when that ceasefire was signed, the memorandum of understanding signed, and then the ceasefire came, and you may recall all the congratulations that were heaped on President Trump as he met with other world leaders. And I said, this seems like a lot of overkill at the time, given what it is. It's only a ceasefire, but they were the response from people who were trying to butter up the president. It was as if it was a peace deal, and it was just a ceasefire, and there was never any ceasefire. They've been firing at each other all through this thing. Ceasefire, no ceasefire. That much is demonstrably true. You can look at the news as it's just ongoing. It's not a war, it's an excursion, it's a great big game. Well, tonight we've got the U.S. unleashing and what's supposed to be, and I haven't seen much video coming out yet because this only beginning an hour ago, but we're told that this will be and is an overwhelming wave of military retribution. The U.S. Air Force engaged now in a massive direct bombardment against strategic military targets, infrastructure, mostly focused, we're told at this hour, inside southern Iran. Combat aircraft from the United States executing precision airstrikes targeting the vital Iranian port city of Bandar Abbas again and its surrounding military installations. So they're focused on that area. Apparently tonight, it marks a dramatic retaliation by Washington. This is, I would call it an act of avenging the deaths of these U.S. service members. 2 for sure, maybe with the third one missing, possibly a third death as well. They're zeroing in on the heart of Tehran's naval operations tonight and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps strongholds. This is designed to be, it is being executed in a way that is supposed to have devastating consequences. And it is meant to obviously send a very strong message directly to Tehran. There has been this video that has been going viral of a B-2 bombers airborne being posted by U.S. politicians. That has made people wonder exactly what is going to happen tonight. Some people even worried that this whole thing may be going, I don't even like to use the word, but nuclear. I doubt that very much personally, but people are putting that out there. So we're continuing to follow this, and this is all unfolding in real time tonight. And so we've got essentially breaking news even as we speak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to follow this as the broadcast continues this evening. Let's go to the live map and see what we've got going on here. Live map of the war in Iran. I don't like this because they have ads all over it, but we'll show it anyway. So you can see that reports of several explosions in Bandar Abbas already, and that is because we're now more than an hour and 15 minutes into this retaliation. And so we are right up to date, right up to the minute here for you tonight. And you can see here from the legend where some strikes have been taking place over the past 24 hours. All right, let's pull out of that. So we'll dip back into that as things unfold here tonight. We'll keep coming back to it and keep you posted on the breaking news as this aerial assault continues. And over on the Ukraine file, interesting developments over there politically and on the front lines. Volodymyr Zelensky posting again video of Ukrainian drone strikes inside Russian territory, also with devastating effects. The Ukrainians shifting strategy somewhat in recent months, going after infrastructure, energy installations, oil inside Russia, and it has been very effective. It has put them on the front foot, Russia on the back foot, but there are political developments tonight that may signal an additional change coming. Here's the videos that Zelensky has posted. And that is what it looks like when Ukrainian drones reach deep inside Russian territory. He calls them long-range sanctions. I would say sanctions executed with extreme prejudice, as the saying goes. Talk about smoke from wildfires. They've got more than their share there when these drones strike oil storage facilities, oil tanks. The result is thick black smoke and oil rain in these communities, and it is toxic, and there will be long-term health implications for people who live there. And I'm seeing all kinds of video here tonight too, and I am very reluctant to run this stuff because I'm pretty sure this is AI. I'm trying to be very careful about this. The Iranians are releasing all kinds of videos right now. That's what it looks like to me. I am pretty sure this stuff is AI. They're showing videos of Iranian missiles striking U.S. targets, but to me, this looks, I'm going to check it the best I can here as this stuff rolls in. Because I do want to keep you up to date and show you what I can, but I don't want to spread fake stuff. I don't want to get caught doing it. I am not sure about that one either. So let me just pivot over here, and I'll be right back while I get this stuff organized, queued up, and ready to rock.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I will show you this video to show you with the notification that this is absolutely fake. This apparently it looks like it's been released by Iranian propaganda teams. Pretty good stuff, but it does have some things about it that alerted me to this probably being AI. This is supposed to be footage of a U.S. military base being attacked by Iranian drones and missiles tonight, but it is absolutely 100% fake. This stuff too uniform, too clean. You look at the explosions. And those explosions right there, too clean. It's generated. Listen to the audio too. It doesn't sound believable. It's kind of like bad acting in a Golan and Globus flick from the 80s. Action film. But in the age of information warfare, such as it is today, that's what you get. Let's move over to other news. Tonight, we have the wildfire story here in Canada still. Well, it's become an international incident, an international crisis, it seems, between Canada and the United States. And in fact, we have Senator Bernie Moreno, again, chiming in on this, as Doug Ford would say, chirping. But he's escalated things now. He is saying that he is prepared to introduce some sort of proposed legislation or a bill of some kind, maybe within the next week, to have both Prime Minister Mark Carney and Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, sanctioned as a result of the wildfires as punishment for the wildfires in Canada. And in addition to that, he says that their visas should be withheld. Take away visas so they, I guess, can't travel to the United States. It seems pretty extreme. I get the politics surrounding it, but my gosh, this tonight, this seems way over the top, baby. And here he is on Fox News. This is not fringe, isolated, wackadoodle rhetoric. This is coming from a prominent politician, conservative side on Fox News, which is today the, I would say, one of the main pro-Trump media outlets.
Well, and we were in Washington, and I was leaving very early this morning, and you could see the news feeds of the Lincoln Memorial looking toward the Capitol, except you can't see the Washington Monument. There's no Washington Monument. It's just a cloud of smoke. And you're thinking, who knows what kind of damage this is going to do to vulnerable lungs and people who have no alternative but to work outside. So there's a real health issue. There's an entertainment, recreation issue, and a business losses, clear business losses.
Yeah, let me put this in perspective, Laura. If you took every automobile in America off the road for 1 year, we had no cars, no trucks for an entire year, that's about the amount of pollution that is happening during this 2 or 3 week period of time, and it's being dumped onto primarily the Midwest. And when I hear politicians like Carney and Ford say that we should help when they could have avoided this problem, it's disgusting. We're going to put sanctions on them. That means holding their assets, making certain that they don't have visas. We're going to put tariffs, as President Trump talked about it, because we have to make certain that the people who are suffering get compensated. This is an abject, avoidable disaster. And the left, who, by the way, talks about climate change every single day, this is the worst environmental disaster you could ever imagine. Every car in America for a year, pollution in 3 weeks dumped on the Midwest.
Well, okay. So back to Iran. Over on Bloomberg, they have the former U.S. ambassador to NATO, Nicholas Burns, saying it's very important that President Trump stands up to Iran tonight. So he's kind of talking about it in gangster terms and in also appropriately in entertainment and Hollywood-like terms, talking about like Tony Soprano. Oh, we're not going to run the. I'm going to run the clip here. I've always said world leaders are like a bunch of gangsters. They don't have to follow the same rules as the rest of us. Here's the Bloomberg clip.
The Iranians believe, I think erroneously, that they get to run the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz. They get to be the toll keeper, exact fees, establish a fee structure. There's not a government in the world that agrees with that. And I don't see any way that President Trump can ever agree to that. That would mean Iran emerges from this long war of 4.5 months stronger in that respect than when the war began. It would be injurious to the global economy, to insurance companies, to shippers, to people the companies that depend on the free flow of commercial traffic. So I think that the president cannot, and I believe will not give in, our president, on that issue. I don't think the Iranians are going to give in. So where does that leave us? I think a cat and mouse, probably next couple of weeks or months leading into the autumn, where there's a back and forth. They agree to a ceasefire. The ceasefire is honored, then not honored. They go back to exchange of fire. And I think that's where we are, because these are hard-bitten, highly ideological leaders in Iran. They think they can play us for time, and so they're testing us. It's very important that President Trump stands up to them in that respect and not give in on issues like Iranians becoming the Tony Soprano of the Strait of Hormuz, exacting tribute from other countries.
Well, maybe he should have thought of that before he went in there and undid all of the things that had been done to avoid exactly this kind of conflict to begin with, things done by the United States and previous administrations. Pretty clear that this was a war of choice, and it is pretty clear that it was not well thought out, and it is pretty clear it is not going the way that President Trump had hoped, or as he had promised. It's gone far beyond the 3 to 4 week window where he said it was just going to be a little excursion. And I thought, well, maybe, just maybe, since I found this montage, we should take a look at this, because it gives us a review of the many times that President Trump has promised that this war is about to come to an end, or this little excursion, or whatever it is that he claimed that it was, that it never was to begin with. Let's just listen to his baffled gab, his blah, blah, blah.
They want to make a deal.
And they want to make a deal so badly.
They want to make a deal so badly. I do see a deal in Iran. It's looking very good that we're going to make a deal. This process should go very quickly. We're going to end that war very quickly. We're in the final throes of what will be a very, very good deal. And they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. We have our deal done with Iran, and it should be successful. We're making an amazing deal with Iran. They want to make a deal with us very badly. They're dying to make a deal. They're giving us a lot. They want to make a deal so badly. They want to make a deal.
And they want to make a deal so badly.
They want to make a deal so badly. I do see a deal in Iran. It's looking very good that we're going to make a deal. This process should go very quickly. We're going to end that war very quickly. We're in the final throes of what will be a very, very good deal.
And they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. We have our deal done with Iran, and it should be successful.
We're making an amazing deal with Iran.
And it goes around and around and around and around in circles. And oh, yeah, the other big one that he was going to solve in like 24 hours or maybe even before he came back into office, the war in Ukraine, that hasn't really worked out either, has it? No, it hasn't.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Maverick News. No blah, blah, blah. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
We're back. Wildfires still burning out of control. Doug Ford news conference up around Thunder Bay, where in Ontario and in Canada, that's where some of the worst wildfires are burning. The smoke, as you just heard, drifting even further into the United States tonight. Okay. And I guess in DC, You can barely see the White House and some of the other landmarks there. Let's go to this news conference. Just run a little clip from it today with Doug Ford, Thunder Bay, kind of updating things for us. Here we go. And roll.
And we're going to be down there without hesitation to support our neighbors, which we should be. But all the rhetoric going on there, and it's not from all Americans. I'll tell you, Americans love Canadians, and we Canadians love Americans. But to make the comments they did through the administration, unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. We're trying to get through this, and maybe I got an idea. For President Trump. Why don't you get rid of the softwood lumber tariffs? Because 30%, 33% of the lumber that you use in your building, guess what? It comes from Canada. You want us to clear the forest? Well, open up the gates. Let's start shipping softwood lumber down there. And that would resolve a lot of the issues that we face right now.
Premier?
So, do you have a sense of how things might evolve over the next few days? Is it supposed to rain in the next 2 days? Just do you think things are supposed to get better, or?
Yeah, it's a great question. The short answer is there's much more favorable weather coming over through the weekend and into next week. Got a little bit of rain up here yesterday, which was good. What we really need to see is some of those sustained rains, but without the lightning strikes, because the overwhelming majority of fires that we're seeing now were actually caused by a storm that came through about a week ago, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday last week. So, the weather can change, as we know. So I don't want to give a definitive yes, but things are trending in a very positive direction. Even over the last 24 hours, we've seen fire activity start to slow a little bit. The fires haven't been growing quite as fast as they have been over the last few days with that little bit of rain that we got. What it does allow now is for hopefully the smoke to subside a bit. Obviously, we see it, around us today. You're seeing it across the province. But when you're actually up at the fires and you're trying to either fight them on the ground with our incredible fire rangers and the work that they're doing, or the aerial suppression efforts, sometimes the smoke is so thick that we actually can't get in to drop water on the fires. So it's just not safe for anybody to be in and around them that close. So as the smoke subsides, you get a little bit of rain, the weather starts to cool a little bit, and then we've got a better opportunity to get in and fight those fires. So sure, if you've got a follow-up on that as well, we can take that as well.
Okay, yeah, we've heard about the First Nation near Fort Hope. It's supposed to be evacuated by aircraft tomorrow morning. We're talking about 600 people. It's the Iba Mitong First Nation. I'd love if you could provide us a bit more detail about this.
Sure. Minister Dunlop leads a lot of our evacuation efforts, so I'm sure she'd be happy to provide you and Mr. Hyde like that. Yeah.
So my ministry was speaking with the First Nation last night and coordinating efforts, and so we actually reached out to the federal government for a request for assistance on Wednesday of this week. What that allows us to do is to move things along quicker, so rather than having to wait a 48-hour period. We have the ministries on standby with the Canadian Armed Forces to be able to deploy Hercules. So we're working with the community right now. I was just at the airport with some of my field officers who were anticipating the flight actually might go out today. We would be landing in Hamilton. So we're working really closely. It was actually quite late with the community last night. And those coordination calls every day are so important. We have individual calls with each of the different communities. Not only once a day, this week there's been some calls after midnight. There's been a lot of activity on the ground supporting what's happening with the different communities. Sure. Yeah.
It's an excellent example of the collaboration that's happening between Ontario and the federal government. Obviously, we have to work with the Ontario government because there's so many moving parts. So many people will ask for, to send in the military, send in the CAP. Well, we can't just send in assets if we're going to be interfering with other assets if we don't understand what's actually happening on the ground. And so this collaboration between the ministers and between their departments allows for a safer staging of the evacuations and of obviously any other assets that they need. I as well have been in touch with Chief Buchan over the last number of days, and working very efficiently with the federal government, with the provincial government. And yes, the plan is that their most vulnerable are getting evacuated today, and that there's ongoing assessments.
Premier,
that no expense will be spared to, fight the fires, help the people. But I want to ask you about what's being done sort of in the off season, because we've spoken with some people who are concerned that there's attrition with firefighters. There aren't enough firefighters that are trained or have the experience. So what's being done in the off season, and should firefighters be paid more to attract them to be able to fight these fires, which seem to be more of a long-term problem?
He asked that question, and I appreciate that, because we are paying them more. We bumped up all their salaries last year. But I'll pass it over to the minister, and he'll elaborate a little more.
Yeah, this is a prime example of that misinformation that's being sort of passed around. So if I can run through a bit of a short list for you, if you like. We've increased compensation for our pilots. We've hired more pilots. We've increased compensation for our aircraft maintenance staff. We've hired more aircraft maintenance staff. We've brought our crew leads, who are the sort of the folks that run the sort of 3, 4, 5 person crews that are on the ground. We've now made them full-time employees and have actually put a retention bonus in place for them to keep them. We brought on, I think, roughly about 100 new fire rangers over the course of last year. So not only, yeah, exactly, and not only that, but we've also got our procurement out now for new water bombers. We're going to be going out to market very shortly for new helicopters, new medium-duty helicopters. That will be announced very shortly. So it's pretty unfair, honestly, to say that the province isn't doing what it needs to do to be prepared in the off-season. Not only are we making those investments, but we're refurbishing hose lines, we're refurbishing pumps, we're making sure that all of the equipment is in place at our distribution center. Thunder Bay here is a huge jump-off point for a lot of that work that then goes out to Sioux Lookout, Dryden, Red Lake, Kenora. So there's a lot being done in the off-season. We're always looking for more great people to come and join our team. And quite honestly, when that kind of information is spread across community, whether it be mainstream media like folks that we have here today or social media, it makes it very challenging for the real facts to get out there. So I appreciate you asking that question. I think it's very important. And I hope that you will all take that back today for your articles and everything that you're putting out, because we need to make sure that we don't cause hysteria, that we don't cause panic, and that people are getting pertinent information and the right information. So thank you very much for asking that. It's very important.
Minister,
Sorry, one second. This gentleman's been trying to ask a question for
sorry,
about
I just wanted to ask
so.
about, thank you. I just wanted to ask about Collins First Nation. They described a really, really close call this week.
Yes.
The chief talked about how it was really hard for her to get someone from the MNR on the phone, and the decision to evacuate happened so last minute. They didn't even really make the call until, just the luck of a local rail worker nearby, was able to warn them about it. I'm just wondering if the government has an explanation yet for why everything happened so fast with them, why they weren't warned sooner.
Yeah, so the challenge in Collins is that fire actually started very, very close to the community. And given the certain weather circumstances that were in place at the time, it was actually moving at a rate of around sort of 4 to 8 kilometers an hour towards the community. It started only about 15 kilometers away, so you can imagine how quickly that actually got on top of everyone. So we, of course, had assets deployed in the area. We did our best, obviously, to come and survey what was going on, but there was so much smoke, it made it almost impossible for our teams to come in and really assess how close the fire was. So the community made the determination that they were going to go ahead and self-evacuate, which, of course, if you've got a fire coming down on you, we highly recommend that you do that. And then we've been working with them since they got here to Thunder Bay. I actually heard relatively recently as well, Minister Heidi, that they've now also been brought in, sort of reclassified a little bit to be, and I know it's a challenging conversation, but they are getting support now from the federal government as well. So kudos to the feds for stepping up and doing that. And it's been a challenging situation across the Northwest and across Ontario over the last week. So we'll look back, as we do, on all of the evacuations and our fire efforts, and see if there's things that we can continue to do better. But our number one goal right now is to protect people and property, and we're very thankful that there were no lives lost in that situation.
Minister, you.
So that fire was observed in May. Did it take 2 months? Nobody was able to get out there?
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
In
Observed in
Collins.
May?
No, in Collins. It was reported in May.
That's, I don't think that's possible, but I'm sorry, that's the first I've heard of it. As far as I know, that fire started the day of. So I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I actually did hear that as well.
Me too.
Yeah, I've heard it from a couple different
So where did you hear that from? I'm curious.
From locals.
From the people of Collins.
Yeah, that's not something that we've heard, but I can certainly look into it. But wildfire season really doesn't start even until much later, and it would be very odd to have only 1 or 2 fires burning in a certain community at the time. But we can certainly look into it, but that's the first I've heard of it, so I appreciate it.
Minister, you talked about aircraft, getting more aircraft. Are we going to see those this season, or is that more into what next season will be? And when this is all said and done this season, what kind of work's going to be done to prepare for next year?
Sure. So kind of a long answer and a short answer, I guess you could say. Short answer is water bombers we're hoping to see online in the next few years. They obviously take a while to build. They're pretty substantial planes. Helicopters we're hoping to have online hopefully late 27, 28. That procurement's going to go out very shortly. So as far as those new aircraft, we will see them online within the next couple of years. However, we are constantly working with partners across Canada. We've got a coordinating body that helps move equipment back and forth. It's called CIFC, wonderful acronym. I've kind of made the joke, government loves its acronyms. So they are the coordinating body that moves equipment, people, aircraft back and forth from different provinces across Canada. So the Premier was talking earlier about how we've got some support from Alberta coming in, as well as the Yukon. That's all done through that coordinating table that works pan-provincially across governments across the provinces, and obviously with the federal government as well. We do have 2-8s, so thank you for that as well, that are coming from the federal government that have fire retardant suppression. That's the red fluid that you see that gets dropped out of the planes. So they've been able to procure some of those on contract, so we'll be able to leverage some of those. And we also have something in the neighborhood of about 80 contracted aircraft here in the province. So we don't necessarily own them, but they are here in Ontario at our disposal. So I would say at any given time, we've got somewhere between 100 to 120 aircraft, about 80 suppression aircraft between planes and helicopters, and then another sort of 30 to 40, we'll call them support aircraft that move crews, that move equipment around. So we're always looking to the said we'll spare no expense, and we'll continue to move forward to make sure that we keep people safe here in the province.
Is more help on the way? If it's needed in the coming days?
Well, absolutely, more help is on the way. We've requested it. Some of it's here on the ground, some of it's coming. But we also have to recognize that you were asking a little bit about U.S. partners. We're part of the Great Lakes Fire Compact. There's well over 500 wildfires burning in the U.S. right now as well. And we've certainly got a lot of challenges across Canada. We've seen some new fires pop up in Nova Scotia over the last couple of days. Challenges out in British Columbia, the Northwest Territories. So we're working as collaboratively as we can with our partners, and the offer to help is out there. And please, anybody that's listening that's got good ideas, or that maybe has, if you're part of an organization or a company that thinks they can help, we're always happy to entertain that and see what's going on here in the province. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Okay, so he's saying, they're even open to ideas. And if you go over to the Trumpsters' Donnie T's Truth Social page, you'll see this post. Tim Sheehy, former water bomber pilot, says that he used to lead an aerial firefighting fleet. And he says, I can tell you send help is an extremely dishonest framing by the Canadian government. The Canadian government routinely blocks U.S. firefighting companies from attacking fires in Canada while aggressively sending their government subsidized aircraft to the U.S. to earn commercial rates from the U.S. taxpayer. It's big business for them. And here's the interesting line for them. And they run it like a Chinese protectionist racket. So we do have, I know, and I'm not an expert on exactly what the details on these agreements are, but there are agreements in place. We have agreements in place between Canada and the U.S. for cross-border mutual aid when it comes to firefighting. And we send hundreds, if not thousands, of firefighters back and forth across the border whenever these kinds of emergencies erupt. And it's been going on for years. And there was a new deal signed back in the 80s with regard to all of that. And it has been mutually beneficial. I think that where some of the confusion comes in is you have both private firefighting companies and you have government run operations. And then you also have issues on the Canadian side, for instance, of credentialing, making sure that people are qualified so that they can properly serve as firefighters in a safe manner and in coordination with other firefighting teams. And so there have been accusations over time, for instance, from Canadian companies that have complained about US contractors coming into Canada to do work that the Canadian private firefighters who make money fighting fires might otherwise make. So there's a lot of not just politics, but business competition going on as well within this whole issue. And it kind of clouds things, it confuses things, it distorts the arguments a little bit. Some of it's political, some of it's business driven, profit driven. Some of it is, a lot of it, of course, is just community concerns. And it isn't as simple as people think, because a lot of this involves supplementing government firefighting resources with private contractors, private companies that come in to help in these situations as well. And then you overlay with that, sometimes insurance companies get involved too, where they actually have to bring in firefighting companies. And I know that in Canada, for instance, there have been private contractors, Canadian companies that have been upset because insurance companies have brought in US contractors. So I suspect, and I can't say for sure, but I think that what you're seeing there with that post from Tim Sheehy, the former aerial firefighter, water bomber pilot, that Trump is championing and reposting. I think that some of those private sector elements are involved in what he has been observing. And I think he is something of an expert on the US side, but he's seeing it from a US perspective. I don't know exactly all of the details surrounding the reasons for him posting something like that. I just know that it is not as simple and cut and dried as even his post is making it out to be. I like, for instance, out west in Alberta and BC, you've seen in the past couple of years of wildfires, people, saying, well, we can help fight these fires. I can get out my garden hose, or I'll come and help you fight fires. But that isn't always the safest option, because you can't just have untrained people running into a forest fire to just try and help put it out without coordination and at least some level of training. So we have seen civilians offering to help, and I think it was in BC. It might have been in Alberta, maybe in both. In the past year or two, they have accepted some of that help, and they've brought some civilians in, and I think, set up like a program of sorts to provide some sort of preliminary training for people so that they could then take up roles in support positions, but not necessarily on the front lines fighting fires, because that can be very dangerous. And we have seen people killed, firefighters killed, trying to save lives and save property. So it isn't just that simple as you just don't have people run into the woods willy-nilly, and and there are liability issues, and even the government. If, for instance, if the government just allowed unqualified people to come in and fight fires and somebody got hurt or killed, then they would be criticized on that front too. So we'll see how it all plays out. But this is how it's done. This is video of a string of water bombers coming in Canada to scoop up water and then continue back to the front lines in the battle against. I'll bring down the audio so we don't get a copyright strike on the music, but look at this. They're just incredibly skillful, and this might look like it's AI, but I believe it is real. Yeah, they line them right up. And that's how they do it. The video coming out tonight and the still images, again, just the scale, and the devastation, it's mind-blowing. Devastating. And this has to be the worst ever, I would think. Western and Northern Ontario are still the hottest hotspots tonight. The fire danger up there is described as extreme. You've got widespread burning, multiple communities under evacuation orders or alerts, heavy smoke blanketing large parts of Ontario and drifting into the U.S., as we've shown you, triggering poor air quality warnings from Environment Canada, yellow alerts in areas like Southern Ontario, right down here in London, Chatham, Windsor, Niagara region, in Quebec. Northern zones are seeing sustained activity with out-of-control fires, reinforcements arriving from other provinces. British Columbia's Brunswick complex near Boston Bar continues growing with evacuation orders in place tonight and structures threatened there. Smaller but aggressive fires are also burning in Nova Scotia tonight and the Northwest Territories. Forecasters are calling for continued hot, dry conditions for the rest of this month, right into August, with the fire danger elevated across much of the country. Officials urging caution this evening with any or outdoor activities. And we have this map where you can go at any time to check on the status of wildfires across Canada at cwfis.cfs.nrcan.gc.gca, and this is the English website, where you can see the stats are clearly reported. Current fires, this is 97 new ones reported today, 954 wildfires active across Canada. Out of control are the red dots, being held in position yellow. Under control is the blue dots. Out of control and being monitored are sort of a different shade of red, probably hard for you to distinguish between the two. And just different maps with different legends. This shows the smoke and how it's drifting, and it is pretty thick, pretty toxic. I think the politics is even thicker and even toxicer. Is that a word? I think so. Back to the Iranian war. U.S. officials say they think that China and Russia may be feeding Iran targeting data after Tehran has now hit sensitive sites with unusual precision, they say. This being reported by the Wall Street Journal, being picked up on social media. Here, I'll just show you. This is on open source intel, highlighting that report, and then look at the responses. Lando 877, whoever that is, posts, "No, excuse my language, is shit. Why wouldn't they?" And I'm not going to reread that one because the language is way too nasty. Anyway, the bombardment continues at this hour. Going to take a short break, going to check for an update. Be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Looks like we're going to have to wait for a while before we start getting video out of Iran from these strikes. So far, really nothing coming forward because they're underway at this hour. U.S. CENTCOM, nothing new there. They probably won't release anything at all until the strikes are complete. And if the activity from previous nights is any indication as to what might transpire tonight, I would say give it another hour or two, and you'll get a post from CENTCOM saying that the operations have been completed. The Trump administration, Trump himself being criticized heavily for these strikes on not even so much the power plants inside Iran, but the desalination plants for sure, being criticized for that because that, of course, is being characterized or is seen by many as civilian infrastructure because that's what purifies the water, gives millions of people drinking water. And this is the result of this past week's strikes, U.S. strikes on Iran and desalination plants. Very controversial. Will definitely have an impact on life and even, I guess, to some degree, military operations. But we're talking about drinking water here, which in the Middle East is probably more precious than oil. Desalination plants is what they use to remove salt from the salt water to turn it into potable drinking water. This particular desalination plant apparently provided water to about 20 villages in Iran. Okay, so we have more footage here now of CRAM defenses in operation above a U.S. airbase. Over a bill. So let me just run this for you. If you don't know what a CRAM is, it's anti-aircraft fire, which is, I mean, they fire off so many rounds in succession that it just looks like a laser beam. Not new technology. The targeting, of course, is more precise than it ever was in the past because of digital technology, but yeah, these CRAM anti-aircraft guns are amazing. And then in themselves. So they're using that to counter these Iranian attacks tonight. That is some of the first footage coming out this evening from Iran, as this now 8th night in a row we have seen the U.S. launching aerial strikes against Iran, and now counterattacks. Also tonight, just breaking minutes ago, Andrew and Tristan Tate have been arrested by U.S. Marshals in Miami. The social media celebrity / brothers detained outside I'm not sure exactly where this has happened. It's in Miami. What are we seeing here? You know, they've been accused of and charged with rape and a lot of different offenses over time. And so they're being charged, I guess, with a new charge. They're facing new charges as a result of this arrest, including 7 further rapes, 3 of arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation, 3 assaults, 19 charges relating to indecent images of a child and extreme pornography. Tristan Tate, and those are charges against Andrew. And Tristan Tate is facing possibly 2 additional rape counts, an additional charge of sexual assault, and 3 charges of trafficking facilitation. So these are charges that go back to a period between July of 2010 and August 2017. The case now covering 7 different alleged victims. All of this on top of other charges, 21 previous charges. Authorities saying both brothers are awaiting extradition proceedings to the United Kingdom and are warning that criminal proceedings are active with fair trial rights intact. So, see here, Crown Prosecution Service. Here's the release. Crown Prosecution Service has decided to bring further charges against brothers Andrew and Tristan Tate in relation to 4 additional victims. Following their arrest in the U.S., the CPS will be seeking their extradition in relation to the original 21 charges they face, as well as the further charges which we have decided to prosecute. I'm not a big fan of the Tate brothers, to say the least. Not a fan at all. I think you can see why. And yet they have a huge following online. Now, here's additional footage, and I bet you this is also fake. All of these videos coming out from the Iranian side. I guess it's just a lot cheaper, more cost-effective to make a fake video than it is to actually conduct any kind of military activity. So if it's just screwing with people's minds and winning the war through reshaping people's perspectives and their reality, then I guess this is the way to go. Now, I can't say for sure that this is fake, but just given the fact that it's on a pro-Iranian X site, I'd say it probably is. This is supposed to be U.S. military bases going up in flames, and yeah, that looks 1,000% freaking fake. So you're seeing that stuff, and it is actually starting to get traction online, these videos tonight. I'm seeing them reposted on different sites, and that throws into question for me the integrity of a lot of these different social media influencer sites where this stuff is reposted, including, and I won't even, well, you can just make your own assessments. So still awaiting more updates, and there's more fake video from Iran. And I think that's old video being recycled. So we'll keep an eye on all of this tonight. Okay. Just wanted to kind of return briefly to President Trump's address to the nation and these allegations, claims, whatever, of election fraud. You know, the on the Democrat side, the opposition side, they're of course saying that there's nothing new in there. That's true, as far as I can see. That the framing and all of this is such that he really isn't doing anybody any favors, and I'm in line with that as well. You know, the claim, I was just out in the morning thinking about what he said of, you know, the allegation that the Chinese have acquired voter data on 220 million registered U.S. voters. And so I thought, you know, I don't think that doesn't even sound credible to me. How can the Chinese have access to 220 million registered voters? That's basically that's every registered voter in the United States. It's not like some, that's all. And in fact, so I came back this morning, I started to dig in and do a little more research, and it really doesn't wash, because right now in the United States, heading into the next U.S. presidential election, say, or even if you look back at the last couple, you have like 170 to maybe 200 million registered voters. So that means that the claim that China has access to 220 million, well, I suppose it's plausible, but it doesn't really even line up with the total number of registered voters in the database that's current. The issue really surrounding all of this is, was there actually anything that happened that you can point to that says, there's the smoking gun, this is the proof, this is what happened, this is why the election was stolen, which is really what Trump, at the core of everything he is saying, this is what he is implanting in people's minds. This is his grievance. That's his complaint. That's what he is alleging. This is what he keeps recycling. All the information that has come out has been recycled in this most recent data dump, and there is apparently more to come. So hopefully, for his sake, he actually does release some new information and some actual proof of something. But you would think if it's that urgent that we would have had arrests by now, because it's highly illegal to do the things that he is alleging that have been done. Now, I can understand why people want more security and more integrity restored to the U.S. election system. I don't think anybody really would be opposed to that. Well, maybe some people would. In fact, even the Republicans might be, because this data, you know, a lot of this information that he's concerned about China getting their hands on, and he singles out China, but this data largely is publicly available on the U.S. side in their system. It's data that is used by private companies. You can buy it. The Republicans and the Democrats and independent candidates can get access to it for campaign purposes. Private companies acquire it, and then they provide services to the political parties through data, through software where they input the data, and then they can target voters for campaign purposes. And you can acquire it in other ways as well. I could get a hold of it. You can get a hold of a lot of it, because the majority of it is actually available to the public. It's not like classified, restricted data. A lot of this stuff And so I know that some conservative outlets tonight are, portraying this as though it's some sort of massive data breach. And I think there is an element of that here, but also there's the truth of the matter is this is not a secure system. If it ever was, this is stuff that's sold for profit. This is data that's sold for profit. And there's not much of an incentive either on the Republican or the Democrat side, either side, to really do very much about it because they both benefit from having access to this data. You'll recall that the first time Trump was elected, there was a lot of complaints from the Democrat side because they used that company, Cambridge Analytica, in order to target their campaign marketing through Facebook. The Democrats didn't like it because it was highly successful. And at that time, Facebook had sort of the dominant position in the social media sphere more than Twitter. And the Trump campaign used that very effectively. It was Facebook that helped propel him to the presidency, only to then turn around and ban him off social media when he lost the election the next time. And yet I think a lot of this just seems to be a big performance because now he's back on Facebook. He's got his own social media platform. X has been sold. All of this data is just flying around. He points his finger at China like they're the big boogeyman. And yet I guarantee you have every country that has any interest at all in influencing U.S. elections. They've all got access to this stuff because there is no security around it. There's the uncomfortable truth for everyone. That's why the data breach in Alberta, I think, takes on a different tone. And if you start to look at it through that lens, where you had the separatists gain access to the data information so they could then target the voter base in Alberta to get people to sign their separatist petition in a more efficient way. That's US style politics coming up into Canada. Well, it's worldwide politics now in many respects, but they weren't supposed to have access to that because in Canada, that data is specifically supposed to be held only by authorized political parties and only to be used for campaign purposes, not for other reasons. But they are not a political party and they got a hold of it. That's why it became so controversial. But in the States, a lot of this data, it flies around and it is not restricted information in many respects at all. And more than that, these social media platforms, they're compiling data on people for exactly these purposes all the time. In fact, I just highlight for you that Donald Trump himself, through his own social media platform, is acquiring just exactly this kind of data all the freaking time. One of the things that really brought this back to the forefront for me in the last 24 hours is when I've been going to his Truth Social platform, the Donald Trump, call it what it is, the Donald Trump social media platform called Truth, which isn't truth at all, except that if you want real truth, you can get the truth through the numbers and through the data. And that is exactly what he engages in all the time because they are collecting data through this system here. Let me show you. This notice has been coming up on my Truth Social account when I've been going to the platform to just check in and see what's going on. And sometimes they bring you the Donald Trump Truth Social scroll. Here it is. They're notifying you, I think maybe because of some federal regulation, I'm not sure why, but it's a notification that they're collecting data on you when you go to their site. We and our one IAB TCF partners, this is third-party stuff, store and access information on your device for the following purposes: store or access information on a device, advertising and content measurement, audience research, services development, personalized advertising and personalized content, cookies. They're tracking you, man. Every time you go to the Truth Social platform, you think they're not using that data For campaign purposes, personal data may be processed to do the following: use precise geolocation data so they know exactly where you are at any given time, especially if you're accessing on a mobile device, and actively scan device characteristics for identification. Our third-party partners may store and access information on your device, such as IP address and device characteristics. They're planting data on your device so they can track you when you're out walking around. Our IAB-TCF partners may process this personal data on the basis of legitimate interest, or with your consent, you may change or withdraw your preferences for this website at any time, blah, blah, blah. Well, see, we know what they can use that stuff in very powerful ways, right? Including they can, they will know your location, and I know that this can be done because I've done some online marketing work, lots of it actually, for clients myself. Not so much some a little bit these days, but not much. But I know that you can use data like that to track somebody without the law is such that you're not supposed to know who the individual is if you're purchasing the service of the social media company, but the social media company knows who you are because they've accumulated your data. And if you're walking by a store that sells women's shoes and you're a lady and they want to market to you, that store, if they know that you're within proximity, a certain distance from the front door of that store, they can hit you with an ad to promote the shoes that are for sale in that store. So when you're walking by and you're doing this on your phone, an ad for that store will actually come up, or the product that they're selling. And as you're walking by, well, maybe you'll see it in the front window. You've got the ad, you go in the store. It's like that sophisticated and in real time because they're tracking you. Now, if they can do that, imagine what they can do on the political side. And that site, of course, all the sites, very, very politically oriented, right? Like it's powerful stuff. And of course, in the United States, the most powerful country in the world, the most powerful economy, the largest economy, the most powerful military, it's for all the marbles, baby. So they pull out all the stops, and that's why the politics gets so nasty. And the United States keeps pointing their finger at China, 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 Trump especially, right? Well, why is that? Because they're a major competitor. I had a clip lined up here with regard to that. Maybe I still have it. Maybe not. But they're focused on China because they are seen as, well, a major competitor. It isn't really just about national security. It's that they want to beat them down, essentially, beat the competition down. Gonna take a short break, cue up a couple clips. Be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Well, back on Bloomberg again, they're yakking about the wildfire issue, the politics surrounding it. They have Bloomberg's senior White House reporter, Josh Wingrove, tells on yakking about it. We'll bring him up. We'll give him a clip. It's one of the big issues right now, Canada, USA. Hey, hey, hey. It's the weekend. It's time for the political talk shows.
Canada because of the wildfires. He posted, Canada has refused to engage in basic forest management and debris removal. Sounds familiar to what he said with California last year, knowing that such refusal will lead to exactly this result. This is willful negligence, that's capitalized, and becoming a yearly occurrence costing the United States billions of dollars, which cost of this pollution must of necessity be added to the tariffs Canada is currently paying.
It's a complicated clause, by the way.
Yes, that's not easy to read. That's my second time, and I did no better the second time. Josh, what is going on here? Does the president really need another foreign policy fight, especially one that could impact how much Americans pay for things, including cars and other items that come across the border?
I mean, the notion of Canada, vacuuming the floor of its boreal forest or whatever. I mean, obviously, that's only so much you can do. To take this seriously, though, I mean, a Canadian national died fighting a forest fire this month in Colorado. This long-standing cooperation between these two countries. In those infamous California fires, it was Canadian water bombers you saw. Some of the stuff Trump says goes off the back of Canada and Canadians. Other stuff they find particularly insulting. And I think this risks being in that second bucket because the country has spent so much time helping America fight its forest fires, that, the notion that this is sort of like their fault, no one wants to smoke over it. It's over Canada too, of course, is I think going to prompt some blowback, frankly, is already prompting blowback from Canadian officials. And so whether we see this factor into these negotiations and whatever is unclear, just to remember where we are on this, most of the trade between Canada and the US right now is tariff-free because it's exempted under CUSMA, or as the Canadians call it, and USMCA after the Americans call it. And so Trump could adjust that exemption. That's a big fear of industries in the US and in Canada. He could raise the baseline tariff through these 301 investigations, one of which is done, one of which is still in the hopper. Mm-hmm. Or he could try to adjust the sectoral tariffs to crank up tariffs on autos or steel, which are the two ones that are biting the Canadian economy in particular. So he does have avenues here if he wants, but it's also true that Canada has one of the lowest effective tariff rates in the world right now when it comes to accessing the U.S. market.
All right, and this is CBS Mornings today talking about the smoke on the U.S. side.
Thick smoke from wildfires smothered cities from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic.
Well, it's been scary because I have COPD, which is a lung issue. And so it's been a little rough. I went out too much yesterday.
Detroit topped the list of cities with the world's worst air quality on Friday. Emergency responders there reporting a near 100% increase in respiratory complaints.
We have already seen some uptick in respiratory complaints across the city in terms of our EMS response and the reports from hospitals in their walk-in cases.
The fires now leading to international finger-pointing. In a Truth Social post, President Trump said the U.S. is being invaded by filthy, polluted, and unhealthy air, calling Canada willfully negligent. Ontario Premier Doug Ford responded Friday.
If there's some politicians out there chirping away, well, maybe what you should do rather than complain is send support, send help.
Meanwhile, a week of heavy rain triggering deadly flooding across central Texas. The water moved so fast, it washed away generators and trailers outside the business where Kat Stafford works and ruined everything inside.
I'm trying to draw out the main documents, papers, and set financial documents.
All of this asphalt was a brand new road. It was put down just 3 weeks ago, but the creek that is a football field away was so powerful, it stripped all of it off.
More than 2 feet of rain fell across central Texas in just days, a 1 in 1,000 year rain event for the second year in a row. Rescues are still ongoing. Roads impassable, so the Texas National Guard has taken to the skies with airlifts and medical transports. while in Uvalde, a key bridge into town collapsed over the raging Nueces River.
Even though the worst of the rain is going to be behind us, the rivers are going to continue to rise and still pose life-threatening danger to anybody near those rivers.
Even with the sun out now and the widespread rain ending, state officials are still concerned that flooding could threaten more communities as all of that water moves hundreds of miles toward the Texas coast. For CBS Saturday Morning, Jason Allen, near Kerrville, Texas.
Okay, now I was talking about China just being like a major competitor to the United States, especially on the economic front. And we have this week the CIA director himself kind of acknowledging what I'm telling you tonight, where the United States still views Russia as, a powerful adversary, I guess, unless you're Trump, in which case it might be that you see him as sort of a, I don't know. It's a big question mark. Somebody that the country he likes, but is supposed, I don't know what it is. Maybe not an adversary. It's a, gee, I'd sure like to be like that guy kind of a thing. Maybe, and I think more than that, but we need proof of various things, not just some proof, a lot of undeniable truth. And we'll get into that another night. The point is that you've got the CIA director describing Russia in this address as, an adversary, but with a small economy, only about the size of Texas, while at the same time looking at China now as the biggest rival to the United States because of the size of its military and the size of its economy, which now rivals the USA. So on both fronts, which are both related and connect to each other, you have the United States, I think, very concerned, worried, and that's why you're hearing all the rhetoric about China. They're trying to find ways to kind of keep them at bay, to constrain China. Let's get the clip. Reinforces what I've been trying to illustrate.
Yes, adversaries like Russia compete with us, other adversaries on the technological front, but China's different. We're the largest economy in the world. China's the second largest. Russia's economy is about the size of my home state of Texas. So they have to choose where they're going to compete, where China competes with us across the board. Yes, adversaries.
So that's why you're seeing all the rhetoric about the Chinese cars, in my estimation. You can't let them into Canada because they might find their way across the border and they'll be spying on us. They just don't want China selling cars over here because they will be selling for about half the price of anything produced here in North America. If Chinese vehicles come here, everybody will be able to afford to buy a car again, practically, because they will have. Well, you just have to go look at the numbers, look at the prices. The cars coming in right now, fairly high prices because there are a limited number of them coming in. But if they brought them in, if they opened the market up, the prices on cars and trucks would be severely depressed, and that would be a big win for consumers. So they're trying to find both tariff and non-tariff barriers through regulations to keep Chinese vehicles out of the marketplace. And it's controversial, and you can get into the economics and the finances behind all of it and the subsidies on the Chinese side and whether it's dumping or fair or whatever. But I'm just telling you that the rhetoric around the surveillance and the spying and the spy cars and all that, there's some elements of truth to it, but largely it's rhetoric being directed at it because they have economic concerns. And back to the file on the voter or the election fraud. Again, this is MS Now, which obviously is going to be anti-Trump, but they're highlighting the deficiencies and these claims that he made during his address. And I think it's pretty hard to deny that that what he did was fell far short of where it needed to in order to to spark any kind of a real genuine response.
Joining me right now is our friend Illinois Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. He serves on the House Oversight and Intelligence Committees. Welcome, Congressman. It's good to see you. So these documents that Trump declassified, they do not back up his claim of vulnerabilities in election systems. They reveal no new evidence of foreign interference and that it altered any vote counts. And then the strict voter ID bill that he's pressuring Congress to pass, that doesn't even address these issues. What was the point of this address?
I think he's trying to set up a pretext, a Trojan horse, if you will, in this day of the Odyssey, to basically meddle in the 2026 elections in 4 months. That's what's really going on. And I think that Mark Wayne Mullen and DHS, we have to scrutinize them very carefully, because I'm concerned that they are going to potentially invoke emergencies related to the elections, place DHS, ICE, or CBP folks at polling locations to intimidate voters, and do whatever they can to discourage Democrats from voting and others, because they know that they can't win this election right now the way things are.
So you're a senior member of the House Intelligence Committee and the Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the U.S. and China. We all know that foreign adversaries seek to undermine our democracy, but have you ever seen any evidence of a foreign nation changing a single vote or altering the counting of ballots? No.
Not at all. There's not a shred, not an iota of evidence whatsoever that, for instance, with regard to the 2020 elections, China flipped one single vote or even attempted to interfere in the either casting of ballots or the tabulation of ballots. So we're left with the same conclusion as before, which is that Donald Trump lost the election fair and square.
All right. So this week, we had MS Now reporting that more than 24 House Democrats gathered to strategize how they would respond if indeed the president tries to interfere in November's vote. What are Democrats doing to make sure the election is fair and secure?
I was part of that exercise. It was eye-opening, and I think I came away with several conclusions. One is that I think that we should anticipate that, Trump and his loyalists are going to do whatever they can to try to meddle in the elections. So what does that mean for us right now? I think we have to work with folks in civic community and not-for-profits in terms of making sure that we continue to encourage people to vote early for the election, because I'm very concerned about election day stunts on the part of the administration. I think we have to work with our legal community to make sure that we can go with one voice into court at the appropriate times if there are needs for injunctions or temporary restraining orders. And then finally, we have to do whatever we can in Congress to sound the alarm right now and conduct oversight with regard to the Trump administration, whether it's DHS or other entities such as the U.S. Postal Service, which is what I'm really focused on the Oversight Committee, to make sure that they are not used as leverage for the Trump administration trying to get a hold of voter registration rolls or kind of meddling in mail-in balloting and so forth. So those are the three broad strategies that we have to use right now.
Is there something specific you worry about when you say an election day stunt that the Trump administration could pull off? What do you envision happening there?
Well, you could see them, basically say that there's an emergency that requires that, DHS agents be placed at polls. Or if a judge says, well, no, you can't have under 18 USC 592, you cannot have DHS or any federal law enforcement at the polls, then they start setting up checkpoints on roads or highways near those polling locations. And that gums up the works on election day. So we should anticipate any of these strategies being employed and start to encourage people right now to vote as soon as they can in these elections, whether it's through mail or voting early in person, but making sure that their votes get in regardless.
Okay. Let's pivot together to Jay Clayton, of course, President Trump's nominee to lead the nation's intelligence community, facing a contentious Senate confirmation hearing on Wednesday where he refused to directly acknowledge Joe
We can
Biden's
pull out of
victory in the
this.
2020 election and said he was unaware former intelligence chief Tulsi Gabbard over.
Here we go. Okay. We could go on and on about this issue, but really the speech the other night turned into a big nothing burger. I've gone over a lot of the documents, and I'm not seeing really anything new in there at all. So he clearly has other objectives here. Just on the on a lighter note, there's this. I just came across this on social media. X, Canada's forest fires are costing Americans. We're going to add tariffs, says Trump. Meanwhile, in Canada, the Moose says, oh no, not tariffs. Whatever will we do? Because the tariffs are losing their impact, aren't they? How much more can he tariff us? Or anybody? Now, the CUSMA or USMCA trade deal still remains in effect. So most of the trade across the border still pretty much tariff-free, but he has made exceptions and he has used a lot of bluster to kind of intimidate. A lot of this, though, is theater, political theater. A lot of hot air. And as I say, the politics tonight, thicker than the smoke. And plenty of smoke going around, too. Here, check out, you want to talk about smoke? Check out this smoke. This is not Canadian wildfire, though. What you're about to see is a helicopter trying to put out a blaze at the massive Wildberries warehouse fire in Elektrostol, Moscow region. This from an overnight Ukrainian drone attack. And I'll just show you this. This is real. Multiple video posts on this tonight, showing again the reach and the power that Ukraine suddenly has in this war. I've also come to, there are reports coming out of Ukraine over the past day that Zelensky has had something of a political shakeup within his political team. He has apparently fired his defense minister in a very controversial move. I've been paying a little bit of attention to it, trying to get some details. Basically, what's going on, I think this defense minister, not really didn't really have had more of a civilian background, went in to this role only about 6 months ago. This is why you've seen such a sharp turn, apparently, according to some, in the strategies that being used with great effect by Ukraine over the past 6 months. But he's been at odds with some of the, I think, other brass within the Ukrainian military. One commander in particular who I think Zelensky sees as indispensable. And so he has fired the defense minister and he's making some changes, some other changes within the Ukrainian government as well that Zelensky has initiated here. But it has sparked some protests in the streets because this new defense minister has been, he's seen as something of a hero already by some Ukrainians because, as I say, the deep drone strikes into Russian territory have changed the face of the entire conflict. And it has put Ukraine on the front foot and Russia on the back foot. So to fire the defense minister at this point, leaving a bad taste in some people's mouths. We'll have to, this is maybe not of much concern for people here in Canada or the US, but I think these kinds of changes can have significant impacts on how wars are conducted and what the outcomes might ultimately be. So just something to make note of because we may come back to that. Just checking here. This is over on Al Jazeera. They're talking about how other Gulf nations, other Gulf countries are looking at Iran, the threat from Iran tonight in the wake of what we've seen overnight and now this ongoing bombardment from the U.S. from the air against Iran, 8th night in a row.
I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, Iran has crossed many red lines on the regional arena and also on the international arena in terms of blocking this, international waterways and bringing economic pressure on all countries, European countries, United States, and so on. So many red lines have crossed. And the GCC countries, they're still determined to exercise the diplomatic element power. They do have, especially Saudi Arabia, UAE, they do have the military capability to respond and assist the United States and put in more military pressure on the Iranian regime. But so far, they have not. I think if the Iranian regime would start targeting desalination plants and oil refineries within the GCC countries, perhaps they will force the regional countries to exercise also their military element power. But by then, it'll be a all-out regional war. And that's what GCC does not want to become.
Okay, so we have video here of the Tate brothers being arrested. So I can show you that. We reported earlier that they've been arrested, additional charges being laid, and then possible extradition as a result of this. And this arrest took place in Miami outside a venue where they were supposed to co-host a bare knuckle boxing event. Oh, isn't that nice? Welcome to America, the new current Rome, where blood sports are becoming the norm. Here's the arrest, raw footage. This, I think, from TMZ.
Mr. Tate, would you mind signing?
Hey, Tate.
Come back. Oh, shit. Come over here by me. Let's go. Back up. What's going on? Back up. Guys, back up.
Strange to me, these guys I think are okay in Donald Trump's books. Meanwhile, so many people who support Trump are so concerned about the very issues that these guys are being arrested for tonight. And yet they seem to get a pass. From some people who otherwise would be appalled by the very crimes that they're accused of. I think it's part of the mind school. They're on our team, so...
Tristan, anything to say?
It doesn't matter what they do, what they're accused of. It's all fake, right? All a hoax. Not. So there's that. Still not much new video coming out of Iran this evening. It'll be coming, though. Make no mistake. Still no new update as far as I can see. Yeah, nothing new from CENTCOM. That means the airstrikes continue at this hour. Take a short break. I'm looking for other updates on what's going on with these airstrikes as our breaking news coverage of Trump opening, as he says, the gates of hell on Iran tonight continues.
We are the Mavericks. Welcome to the Matrix, baby. Hope you like the view. We are the Mavericks. The world is watching. We are the Mavericks.
Okay, concerned about those data centers sucking up all the oil and spying on you? Yeah. Well, you know who's behind it, right? The top.
They're not stupid, they're just dumb. Running their mouths with a digital thumb. Think they're tough, but they ain't that hard. Pity the fools, they're the tars. Retarded, can't see straight, full of rage and second-rate hate. Retarded, trying so hard, screaming at ghosts. They're the tars. No real thoughts, just mob and wine. March in circles, toe the line. Quick report, cancel, flee. Ain't got nothing but misery. Retarded, heads full of noise. Broken tools with shiny toys. Retarded, playing the card. Pity the fools. They're the tars. Hey, hey, shut it down. No more truth in Tar Town. Retarded, they ain't slick, fixing nothing with their angry clicks. Retarded, crawling in sharks, pity the fools. They're the tars. They're the tars. They're the tars. No brains, no heart, just keyboard guards.
This disturbing video, very concerning. It appears to be authentic. This young man from Iran, apparently getting out of the country, going into Turkey, getting out somehow, trying to alert the world to what's going on inside Iran, saying it's worse than anybody can imagine. He says the authoritarian regime there is actually shooting protesters in the chest on the streets. Here, I'll run the clip. Keeping in mind this is raw, unvetted, but coming. This is actually being released, I think, by Visregard 24. So this is it's not, it's a major outlet. So let's see what the man has to say. Says, guys, I just arrived. I'll bring the audio down a bit. There are captions here. I'll read the captions. I just arrived in Turkey with a lot of trouble. I'm not feeling well at all. They're killing everyone. They're killing everyone. killing people's kids in the street. Pull the audio right down. Only foreign help matters. Only foreign help matters. Everyone calls the prince. He's not really a prince. The prince symbolizes freedom. It has nothing to do with, what was he saying there? To do with royalty. People see him as a savior. They're killing people. He's crying. They ruthlessly shoot down anything they are doing, whatever they want. My flight was canceled. All international flights from Tehran, all foreign flights are canceled. I barely got an Iranian flight back. I'm really not feeling well. Only foreign help matters. You can't understand until you're in Iran. Trump or whoever it is, only foreign help matters. All the kids' hope is in you. All whoever is outside Iran, I'm just a drop in the ocean. I can only tell you how I feel. I saw hell. I saw hell in Iran these past days. Only foreign help matters. How can we get help? I don't know. I don't think it'll pass. I don't know who can help us. Who they're drowning people in blood. They're shooting directly at chests. Killing mercilessly. You have to think back and remember that when all of the, just before the military actions began, Trump and Netanyahu hijacked Iranian television signals. They then put their video on Iranian television, hijacking the signals, and told the people to rise up, encouraged them to act against their own government. Trump promised that if people did that, the United States would be there to back them up. He was with them. And when they did, he didn't provide the support. As a result, it looks like thousands of people were killed by the Iranian regime. So he encouraged them to rise up. There was a sort of an there was an insurrection, massive protests. The Iranians pushed back. They were hanging people from cranes, and Trump did nothing. He did nothing until he started to bomb the country. And then he said that the Iranian people wanted to be bombed. Even that seems freaking insane. Who the hell wants to be bombed?
Maverick News. Expose lies and tell truth. The world is watching.
Okay, hey, I need to check for some other updates here. All right. I'm checking. I'm trying to keep you up to date here. Somebody's binging me. Is it important? Let me just check and see what's happening here. No, all is well. Everything's fine. Okay. Somebody's saying that I've frozen, but I haven't frozen because I just went and checked and the feed is fine on the feed on the receiving end. So it's got to be on the somebody's seeing me frozen. It's on their end. It's not in the system. So we are still broadcasting, but thank you for updating. In fact, I'll go over here and we're still good on YouTube. I think. Maybe not. No, we're live. Everything's cool. We're firing on all cylinders still. Okay, so what's going on? Here's what we know as of this moment right now. The U.S. and Iran continue to strike each other. Part of this on again, off again escalation that began, some time ago. So we saw Trump say that he's going to open the gates of hell on Iran tonight, and we know that the U.S. is conducting aerial operations right now. Information still spotty at this point. Limited video coming out of there at the moment. U.S. CENTCOM, nothing new there. They just still have their notification up that these airstrikes began at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Iranian state media is reporting that a location near Qasem Island was targeted in a U.S. military attack around 3:40 a.m. their time. They say that 6 missiles hit areas on the outskirts of military sites. No confirmed civilian casualties or damages to residential commercial areas. Footage is circulating showing alleged explosions in the area, but a lot of this stuff, as I say, coming out is actually fake. And Qasem has been hit multiple times in recent weeks because of its radar, naval, and missile facilities. Now, we're getting unconfirmed mentions of activity tonight near Bandar Abbas, but no confirmed strikes there in the past hour. So earlier, overnight, previous strikes hit infrastructure like bridges and desalination plants. We showed you some video of that, which was confirmed as authentic, and that is controversial, and a lot of criticism being leveled directly at the president himself over those decisions, because some say that is attacking civilian infrastructure and having a direct impact on the lives of civilians. Opinions vary. So right now, this appears to be a continuation of U.S. retaliatory punitive strikes following Iran's attack on Jordan overnight that killed 2 U.S. troops. A third U.S. service member still missing. No major new Iranian retaliation reported within the past hour. So we've hit something of a lull within the past hour. Is this then an indication that the U.S. air assault has been completed for tonight, the 8th night in a row? I suspect not. It looks like, based on what we've seen on social media, that they've sent B-2 bombers back in much the same way that they did for Operation Midnight Hammer. If those social media posts on the U.S. side are to be believed or authenticated, I don't know. Whatever happens, I think we will find out shortly after the fact. But the fact that we're not seeing anything new coming out of U.S. CENTCOM right now indicates to me that it's still an ongoing fluid situation. at 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. But when you see Trump say something like, this is a little bit different because he is not threatening to unleash or open the gates of hell. Tonight he is saying, do it, whatever that means. Some people very worried about, major escalation with a statement like that. But how much of it is bluster? How much of it is real? Now, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has issued a written statement following the most recent round of clashes between Iran and the United States. And he, in this statement, is saying, and here, I'll highlight it for you. Let me bring it up over here. I'll put it on the screen in a graphic. In fact, why don't I do this? I have a couple more things to highlight for you when we come back on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, this is what the Ayatollah is saying about Donald Trump. He says, the great Satan's repeated violations of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the presidents of Iran and the U.S. once again proved to everyone how worthless and unreliable the signature of the U.S. president is, and that bullying, hegemonic ambitions, and savagery are inseparable elements of the American way and doctrine. The great Satan has once again revealed its true face without a mask, so that this dark experience of crime and bad faith will stand as yet another powerful testament to America's deceitfulness, irrationality, untrustworthiness, and wickedness. Now that the American enemy is seeking to ignite war and incur even heavier costs and greater disgrace, it should know that the beloved Iranian nation and the axis of resistance have unforgettable lessons in store for it. Okay. I need to check something else here too. Hang on. Okay. The Economist cover article, most recent edition, making headlines on its own right tonight because it is highlighting Donald Trump's purging of the Department of Justice. Here, I've got, I can show you that too. Show you the cover anyway. There it is there. Right there. So the article, how to survive a purge, the secret diary of a DOJ staffer. No, that's not the one we're looking for. Well, till I get the actual details on it. I know that it's making headlines, but I'm not sure of the details because I haven't read the article. But you might want to go check that out. And I think I'm supposed to call Ian, because I think he's got something for us too. I'm going to check in the chat over on Rumble, on the main Rumble channel. What the heck are you talking about? Jubilee is saying that she heard about freezing rain today. Not here in Kanukistan. I don't think so. It's too darn hot. Although stranger things have happened. Let's see if we can call up Ian here. He wanted to talk. Let's see what we got going on. I don't know why he wants to talk, but he does. Here it is. Ian Dragon.
Well, hello, sir.
Hello, Ian, Montreal, our Maverick correspondent. Why did you want me to call you tonight?
Well, now you blew the joke because I wanted you to call Donald Trump version Montreal, basically, and that start. But it's okay because I wanted to make a deal about what's going on in America and with Iran because we got a deal. And I mean, we had a deal for a long time. You know what I mean? But yeah, geez. But I mean, look, today it was gray in Montreal. I mean, look, if you have seen what you showed to us earlier in Montreal, it was as gray as it was. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's still smoky down here, too. It's not as bad today in Chatham, Ontario, as it has been over the past couple of days. It seems to be getting a bit better, but there's still a lot of smoke in the air. You can still feel it in your lungs. I understand why people on the U.S. side would be concerned, upset. It's the same thing with people here on the Canadian side of the border. We're not happy about it either. I don't know that it's helpful to be blaming Canada for something that, on this scale, is it something that we could have prevented? I'm not so sure about that. Look at the size of the total area that's involved with forests in Canada. What do you think? Is that, I understand you can manage forestry around a community, right? But but you start getting into remote areas, Canada is essentially a giant northern rainforest. It's just a giant, it is a place of trees. That's what the whole place is covered with, except here in the south where it's being largely turned into land for agriculture. So we don't have many.
No, you're
trees
right.
left.
I mean, it's complicated, I think, because we have a lot of remote areas. So you cannot go there just willy-nilly, like with, you got to be geared for that, if not. And in Quebec, we have a lot of forests that it's tricky places to go to. So no, you don't go there just for the fun of it if you don't know your area or your location, because either you might get lost or might something bad happen to you because you don't know where you're stepping in.
Well, it's hard to get crews in there just to, I don't know. I think in Trump's little mind, and Canada could just send some people out with rakes or something and just rake up all the dead wood or the leaves or something to prevent wildfires. But
I think in Trump's mind, we have some elf that might work in forest and do some forest working and whatnot. But yeah, no, we don't have gnomes and whatnot in Canada. That's not a thing. No fairy too.
Yeah. Well, I think
unfortunately,
I think we're at the point here where we're about ready to wrap up tonight's broadcast. I'm just checking to see if there's anything from U.S. CENTCOM that's new as of this hour, and I don't think there is. I've been following them all night. No, I'm still no new updates. U.S. Central Command. Hang on. Come on, computer. Yeah, it's still the same thing. Still that post about the attacks beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern, and not a peep since. And that is because they're pretty much locking everything down, especially, on the information front. They don't want to let anything out while these operations are ongoing. So I will come back on live through the night, even if something really major develops and updated in some way. But with that, do you want to give us your best Donald Trump sign off tonight from Montreal, our French Donald Trump?
Well, of course I will, because in Iran we have the best deal. It's going to be done tonight. I tell you, they don't want to have to deal with that, but no, they want to have the deal more than us. So they're sure that they're going to sign the deal. So no bombardment tonight. Don't worry, guys. It's going to be peachy peachy. So yeah, don't worry.
A deal.
And on that, I give you a good night.
All right, because they want a deal so bad again.
So bad.
They want a deal more bad than the last time they wanted it bad. All right.
As bad as it was.
Okay, guys. And as I say, if nuclear war breaks out or something, on that scale, I'll certainly be back live through the night. But as it stands right now, we're in a bit of a lull. But there are major developments happening over in the Middle East tonight. So I've got my ear to the ground and my nose to the grindstone. And I will see you all back here, unless through the night, if necessary, but otherwise at 7 p.m. Eastern.
On the flip side.
See you then.
Well, I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. like it's never heard a bird. A heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a word. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.